All right, good evening, everyone. Once again, it is Friday evening and it is 7 p.m. That can only mean one thing: it is time for the 1 hour live stream. So, how's everyone doing? How has your week's been? Yep, Titanic launch day. Fitting that we have Titanic up here on the shelf, joined by Olympic. And that other ship that Titanic doesn't look any bigger than. Wonder where I've heard that line from. So, we're gonna just go ahead and get right into things. How is everyone doing this week? Let me get going here. What's up, Wolf, Mark, Titanic Nerd, Brian, Max? Am I missing anyone? Steve? Oh, speaking of which, so guys, I have a little announcement. I hope Steve doesn't get upset with me for breaking the news here, but next week, guys, Steve will be coming on to our live stream again. He will be joining me once again, and as far as I know, I will be joining him on his channel, the Blue Ribbon channel. Be sure to subscribe to his channel if you have not done so already, but I would imagine most of the folks here have already done so, at least I hope. Let's see. Steve, crazy past few months. Enjoy my being home for a while. Yeah, man, you've been all over the country, have you not? You've been from coast to coast. Wolf had to go through 2 power outages this week, so I'm pretty tired, but doing well. Well, I hope you got, obviously you got your power back on, so that's a good thing. Yeah, guys, I'm real excited about that. You can see we're kind of going back to the regular format here. The last shows we've had the past few weeks have been pretty topical. We had Titanic anniversary, we had Lusitanya's anniversary, all the dry docking specific stuff going on with the kid and not the Alabama, the kid. Yeah, so we've had very specific topics the past few weeks, but this week we're just kind of going to go back and just kind of be, an open mic type of night, basically. Wolf, power's back and should stay on, hopefully. I hope so too, Wolf, for your sake. So, guys, I do have something I want to start off the conversation with. And this was something. Moonzer is here. Moonzer, how are you doing, my friend? How was your week? Moonzer did get his USS Alabama magnet from me, by the way. He was the winner of the giveaway a few weeks ago. And So, guys, I have something very specific I want to mention. I want to get everyone's thoughts on. So, a few days ago, in the Discord, Wolf brought up a an article or screenshotted it, one of the two. And what that was is an Ohio billionaire is planning to take a new sub to the Titanic site. And I'm going to read a little bit of this article that I found on it, and we're going to get everyone's opinion on it. So, a Dayton-based billionaire is making headlines after he announced plans to travel down to the Titanic wreckage about a year after the Ocean Gate Titan submersible tragedy that killed 5 people. Larry Connor, a real estate investor out of Ohio, and Patrick Leahy, who co founded Triton Submarines, want to prove the voyage can be accomplished safely. Connor says, I want to show people worldwide that while the ocean is extremely powerful, it can be wonderful and enjoyable and really kind of life changing if you go about it the right way. The now dubbed Triton 4000/2 Abyssal Explorer has been in the works for over a decade, according to TMZ, but the submersible implosion last year of the Titan sub was the catalyst needed to push plans forward. So that's the gist of what's going on there. And yeah, let's open it up to discussion here. What is everyone's thoughts? Now, I do need to say also that I don't know how many of you have heard of Park Stevenson. If you watched that new Titanic documentary that came out like a month or two ago, he was in that. He is also the executive director of the USS Kidd Museum, and he seems to be in favor of this. And I'm not going to put words in his mouth. I don't have the quote right here in front of me, but I got the gist of it was that, from reading his response, that I think he feels like these people are being a whole lot more safer than what Stockton Rush did. From basically the gist of it is they're doing everything opposite of Stockton Rush. That's obviously a good thing. So I'm kind of in a wait and see mode about this. Wolf says, I really feel like this is a dumb idea. Max says, really? Question mark. Yes, Max, this is for real. Mark, suicide. Carr, this can't end well. Max, that's a death trap. Wolf, seems like Titanic can never just be left alone. Mark, mere subs have proven not to implode. But there's one thing I've learned, and this is something I've recently learned, not as a result of Ocean Gate, was and it may have been on Park Stevenson's Facebook page. He's got a great Facebook page, guys. It's Park Stevenson's Explorations. Lots of great info on there. He doesn't just talk about Titanic and the Kid. But I want to say I learned it on his page at some point where all of these subs that go down there, they're all essentially shaped like spheres because the pressure, once you get down to a certain depth, the pressure that surrounds the sub, it has to react to all areas evenly. In a cylinder type design that the Ocean Gate Titan sub had, you don't get that even distribution of the pressure. And that could have been one of the possibilities that, there's lots of things that led to that thing imploding, but that certainly could have been one of them. This Triton sub is supposed to be a sphere, as I understand. So, on the surface, my instant reaction was, that is a bad idea. But if these guys are following industry standards and doing their due diligence. Something, and I hate to speak ill of the dead, but Stockton Rush did not do any of that. He thought he knew better. Unfortunately, Karen says she, as in Titanic, should be left alone. Well, I'm curious to know where this submersible stands on dive tests. Steve, I'm not sure entirely if they've even done any tests, any real world type of tests on this thing yet. I'm not clear yet on what stage of construction this thing is at, or if it's even ready for any type of tests. That would be great to know, obviously. Um, so yeah, again, my first instant reaction was, I don't know about this, but listening to the opinion of someone within that industry that has credit, you know, I'm in a wait and see mode. I certainly wouldn't do it, and we've had this discussion before. I've asked the question to you guys before. If you had the opportunity, would you dive down to Titanic? I remain of the opinion. My feeling is absolutely not. I don't care if it's the mirror sub or anything. You are not getting me down 2.5 miles below the surface. Just not happening. Well, if you know, Titan and Triton sound very similar. Yeah, and here's the thing. Oh, we've all heard of the book Futility, which I have not yet read, by the way. Someday I'll get to it. Futility was the name of the book that came out prior to uh, Titanic actually being, even before Titanic was even a thought. And it basically predicted Titanic. It came out in at some point in the 1890s, and it basically predicted Titanic. The name of the ship in the book was the Titan. So it seems like it's not a good name for ships. Steve, if that is true, then trying to aim for a dive to Titanic by next year, that is not a wise move at all. Steve, I don't know. Again, can somebody look this up while we're doing this? Can somebody find anything about where this sub is at in its development? Because the article doesn't give any information about that. It just says who the guy is, what he intends to do. Not really much detail beyond that. Uh, Mark, the Titan sub only had 4 successful dives. Yes, on the 5th dive is when the implosion happened. Carr says, "I will do it in VR. That's it." Yeah, absolutely. Oh, wait, hold on a second here. What do we have here? Hello, beautiful. Look at this, guys. Hmm. Kind of got distracted there for a minute. Oh, yeah. Had I remembered today was Titanic's launch day, we would have saved what I did last week for this week, which was we did the VR, the Titanic VR game. We searched around the the bow section of the wreck, and we went inside the wreck. We did the sandbox mode. Aha! We've got some reactions here. Did anybody know? Look at the nameplate, guys. It's not Titanic. It's this beautiful lady right here. Old Reliable. Yard number 400. We haven't seen this in a while, and again, this is footage created by subscriber and Discord user Milan. If you guys remember, he won the first giveaway that we did, which was a little bitty 3D print like this of Britannic. It was a much smaller model than this. And this footage is used with his permission, of course. He is the creator of this. And he created Olympic and Titanic in this game called Simple Planes and pushed these games to the limit because this game was made for like designing small aircraft and stuff. He designed two Olympic class ocean liners for use in this game. How cool is that? Uh, I know he's designed some other ships as well. I cannot remember which other ones. I think he designed the Texas in this game as well. I forget what else. But yeah, we haven't looked at this in a while. Uh, well, I don't care what anyone says. Olympic is the best Olympic class liner. Well, Wolf, it's hard to argue the point because she was the only one that was ever successful. So, and it's not this. You can debate all you want as to which one is your favorite. Nobody can tell you, oh, well, this one should be your favorite or that one should be your favorite. If in terms of which one was the most successful or best, I mean, you got to go with Old Reliable. What other option is there? I mean, Britannic was in service longer than Titanic was, but Britannic never served her intended purpose, which was to be an ocean liner, which was by no fault of her own. Titanic was in service for 5 days, unfortunately, and again, by no fault of her own. You know, these were steered by people. You know, it's just what it is. Somebody, let's see. Yeah, let's see. Bryce, she's the only ship, the only Olympic class ship that is, to have a full career 24 years at sea. I don't remember if I told you guys this story or not. I've actually been thinking about doing a reaction video to a Titanic documentary. And I won't give away exactly which one it is, but since we're on the topic, there is a documentary I saw, and it came out some time ago, where they're talking about uh, the rivets used in the construction of the ship. So, as we know, steel rivets were used like in the center parts of the hull. And in the curved sections at the bow and the stern, they used iron rivets, and according to the documentary, wrought iron rivets. And they pretty much live and die by this notion that the Titanic was made with subpar rivets or material. Um, I take issue with that, and here's the problem I have with this with that theory. Mark, 3 million rivets. Yes. Here's the issue that I have with that theory. So they say the ship was badly damaged because the rivets were weak; they couldn't hold up. As I've said before, the ship was put into a situation that it was not designed to handle, and that's why it sunk. That's the gist of it. The thing is, guys, imagine if let me create a scenario for you. Mark, Titanic was a very strong ship. Well, I'm getting to that, Mark. Let me create a scenario for you guys. Imagine this. So if Titanic was a poorly built ship or they used bad rivets, blah, 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 imagine if we had a ship exactly like Titanic, same dimensions, made from the same material, never struck an iceberg, and had a successful career, 2.5 decade career at sea, to test the theory if Titanic was made from cheap material. Could you imagine if we had a ship like that we could compare Titanic to? Hmm. What do you guys think? If only we had a ship like that we could compare Titanic to. Hmm. You get my point. So, let's see. Olympic, 3 collisions. She survived all three. Why? Because she was never put into a situation that she was not designed to handle. Titanic was. Britannic was. Hell, even Lusitania was. And that's where documentaries like that, in my view, they just don't get it right. Now, whether or not the steel was the quality, the purities or whatever, I'm no expert on that stuff. Freely admit to it. But come on, we have the proof in the pudding, guys. The very ship we're looking at debunks anything about the Titanic being a poorly made ship. Just my opinion. So we can put that nonsense to rest right here and now, as far as I'm concerned, until proven otherwise. What do you guys think? And I mentioned Lusitania for a minute. Did anyone watch Mike Brady's newest video about what it was like? It was a 25-minute video of Lusitania's of the attack and subsequent sinking. Did anyone watch that? We got a fast but beautiful sunset here on Olympic. Beautiful nightfall here. Imagine what she would have been like to sail on at any point in her career. Steve. The quality of steel on Olympic and Titanic was comparable to ship construction of all ships of similar size for that period. It would be considered poor quality today, but it was the best you could get then. There you go. That's absolutely right. Mark, I wish the switch theory would just go away. We all wish that, Mark. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's ever going to go away. I think it's here to stay. No different than, Elvis and Michael Jackson performing for the Martians. It's just one of those things that's never going to go away. And of course, we end looking at Old Reliable here with a beautiful shot of her sailing off into the distance, much like the $1 million shot from the Cameron movie. So what are we looking at next? We're pivoting to Mighty Mo, USS Missouri. I was trying to remember when. Did I ever tell you guys the story of the first time I had ever heard of the switch theory? I don't know if I've ever mentioned that in Discord or on the live streams. Let's see. CWS did have issues with hull plate cracks on Olympic and Mauritania by the end of the 1930s, which led to both ships being withdrawn and scrapped by 1935. Which and that's good to know, but at the same time, that also proves what we're saying. They were not poor by any standard, even for that time, because they lasted 20 25 years. And the thing about that is, I saw something. I want to say it was this week, and I forget exactly what the source was, but they were talking about the kid, and the general recommendation for a ship for a ship built like the kid to go into dry dock for basically touch-ups on the hull is every 20 years. Now we're talking about a couple of ships here that predate the kid by 30 years. They lasted 2.5 decades. So I've never bought into the whole nonsense about, oh, it was a poorly made ship. I'll never believe that. That's just my opinion. So anyway, so yeah, did I ever mention to you guys how I first heard about the switch theory? It was actually probably 10, 11 years ago was the first time I had ever heard about it. Um, if you guys want, I'll tell the story. If not, I'll skip it because, we all hate it. We all know it's not true. We all think it sucks. So if you don't want to talk about that, we don't have to. Yeah, in the meantime, we're checking out Mighty Mo, Iowa class battleship here. Something I believe someone in the channel recently saw in person. Not the Missouri, but one of her sisters. Oh, by the way, guys, I apologize if I'm appearing really dark. I didn't charge my little light here before that shines on me before the stream. I kind of forgot, so if I'm darker than usual, I apologize for that. Uh, uh, okay, everyone's saying go ahead and tell the story. Okay, so this was probably 2012, 2013, around that time frame when I first heard about the switch theory. So, and it was on Facebook of all places. Someone had posted a picture of Titanic right before, probably weeks before, I should say, the right weeks before the maiden voyage. It was before the A deck promenade was enclosed. I mistook the photo and thought it was Olympic. I didn't realize, I didn't look good enough at the photo and realize it was Titanic before the A deck promenade was enclosed, and I put in the comments that no, that's not Titanic, that's Olympic, and it was an honest mistake. I like I said, I admit I didn't examine the photo good enough. I know the photo well enough now, but at that point, someone put in the comments that I was a conspiracy theorist. I'm like, what do you mean? Wait, look, what are you talking about? Conspiracy theory? No. I mean, that's I don't know where you get that from. And then that kind of started a discussion about the conspiracy theory, and that is how I found out for the first time about the switch theory. And people were ripping me. They thought I was genuinely like, one of the idiot conspiracy theorists. I genuinely mistook the photo for Olympic, and someone actually corrected me in the comments and gave me the correct information. And after I examined the photo, after reading this person's comments more, I'm like, that is Titanic. So I stood corrected, but yeah, that is how I had first heard about the theory, and that's how I went into reading about it. And I want to say probably after about 10 minutes of reading into the theory, I pretty much laughed it off. I was like, okay, that's absolutely silly. I had no idea at the time that it's the biggest thing as far as conspiracy theories involving the Titanic. So anyway, here we are all these years later. We're still fighting this, trying to make it go away. Thank God Mike Brady did a video as only good as Mike Brady can do, where he pretty much shredded it. And so yeah, that was my introduction to the switch theory. Cara says the V brake was bad. The V brake is it's stupid, but it's head scratching because okay, wrong one. Here she is. So my arm is the water line. She's going down by the head. She goes down, down, down. When she gets about to this point, how can she brake inward? The weight of the water here The air and gravity up here in the stern, the only logical thing to happen is for the weight and the gravity to pull the stern down, causing it to break. And, I'm going to use James Cameron's whole banana peel thing because it makes sense. I'm sorry, it does. I mean, at least to a degree. How does gravity and the weight of the stern make it bend inward? I don't understand that. That makes no sense to me at all. That's just another person trying to make them a name for themselves off of Titanic. Steve said, I'll admit that I was suckered into the supposed hull damage shown in those photos of Titanic pre-maiden voyage. It did seem to show something that appeared strange, but I know now that was simply shadowing and light reflection. You're talking about the photo that allegedly shows the coal fire. That's what you're talking about, Steve. I know what photo you're talking about. Here's the thing with that photo. Let me grab the model again. So, the reflection that Steve's talking about on that photo is over here under the well deck. The coal fire was down here, right by the first funnel. So, yeah, that makes no sense at all either. You can go nuts with all these stupid theories. Mark, when I first got into liking the Titanic, I never knew about Olympic and Britannic. That's the case for everyone, Mark. That goes with Titanic, and I've said it many times before. Titanic is arguably the most famous ship of all time because of what happened. The only ship you could argue that is probably more famous than the Titanic would be the Ark. That's just my opinion. That's why. I mean, look at the Titanic movie. A lot of people, I didn't know originally. When I first started learning about Titanic, I didn't know she had sister ships. Hell, we're looking at Missouri right here. When I first learned about Mo, I mean, Mo is, of course, the most famous Iowa-class battleship of the four. I didn't know she had three other sisters when I first started learning about Mo. It wasn't until after the fact. I didn't know the Arizona had sisters. So, you know, those of us who care enough to increase our knowledge, those are the ones that, we learn about these other ships. Mark, fire wasn't even close to the hull. Wolf, so many dumb Titanic theories. Yes, absolutely. Wolf, Missouri, Titanic, Ark, and Arizona. You would argue, Wolf, or is that the order you think they are in, or are you just listing the ships that you believe are the most famous of all? Now, I've always said, as far as ocean liners go, the most, Steve, remember the Maine. So, Wolf, I didn't know about Alabama and Massachusetts until last year. So, well, Wolf, if that's the case, what was the first South Dakota class ship you had ever heard of? I mean, clearly for me it was Alabama, because when we were kids, we would vacation to Florida at times, and we always drove there. You always took I-10. You cannot go through Alabama on I-10 and not see the Mighty A. She's been there since the 60s. So I've always known about the Alabama. I didn't know she had sisters until way after the fact. I was an adult when I heard that the Alabama had sisters. Let's see. Wolf, just listing famous, not in order. Okay, gotcha. So, and I know we've talked about this before too. In my view, the most famous ships that did not meet with tragedy: Missouri, and Queen Mary would probably be the top two on the list. What do you guys think? Queen Mary is definitely the most famous ocean liner that did not meet with disaster. Although the only silver lining to the whole stupid switch theory thing is some people are learning about Olympic, even though they're getting the wrong information. Hopefully, some people out there, after hearing about Olympic, will at least try and make some attempt to learn the real history of Olympic. Mark, Queen Mary is famous too. Yes. Ozzy, HMS Enterprise. Yep, you could say that. Wolf, my first was Massachusetts, I believe. Never heard of the South Dakota class until I started looking more into battleships. Yep. That's another thing. I didn't know the Alabama was a South Dakota class. I had just known her as USS Alabama. And look at Titanic. When you first hear the name Titanic before you hear about Olympic, you didn't know Titanic was. You didn't know she had two sisters. You didn't know she was part of the Olympic class. She was the second of three ships. But we know these things now. Mark says USS Yorktown. It's funny how we're listing Yorktown and Enterprise because those are the names of two ships in Star Trek, of course. Most famous fictional ship of all time. Who do you give it to? The Millennium Falcon from Star Wars or the USS Enterprise from Star Trek? Which one, in your opinion, is most famous out of fictional ships? That's a tough one. Yeah, speaking of Mo, we're still looking at Mo here. Going to be looking at her for a little bit more. Has anyone picked up any new ships in this game, by the way, in World of Warships? Steve goes with Enterprise. We're talking Star Trek Enterprise. Ozzy, USS Enterprise. And he's got the number right. NCC 1701. Mark's gone with the Millennium Falcon. Wolf, before I got into warships, I only knew about Arizona, Missouri, Enterprise, Bismarck, Yamato, and Texas. That's still an impressive little lot there to know about, Wolf, before you even really dived into battleships. That's pretty impressive still. Steve, no bloody A, B, C, or D, E, or F either. Ozzy Starship Reliant. Yes. The greatest Star Trek movie of all time, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Wolf, in California, Nevada, and Oklahoma. Oklahoma, yeah, because of Pearl Harbor. Titanic nerd. When I heard the name Titanic for the first time, I can't explain it. I have a question for you, Titanic nerd. How did you get into Titanic? Are you old enough to have been around when the wreck was discovered? Did Cameron's movie inspire you to become, Titanic nerd? What's your story behind it? I always like to hear this stuff. Wolf, thanks to Medal of Honor Rising Sun on PS2, I learned about most of the Pearl Harbor ships. Nice. Also learned about Lexington. Steve, don't forget Pennsylvania and Utah. Absolutely. There was I don't know if they're still making it, but there was this shirt that I saw last year and I never ordered it. I may try and find it. And it's a list of all the battleships. Maybe not even just the battleships, but I know for sure the battleships were on it, all the ones that were at Pearl Harbor. And on the back of the shirt, it's like a solid white silhouette of all the ships, with the exception of Arizona and Oklahoma. They were just like outlined. And I just thought that was a really cool shirt, and I wanted to get that so bad. Titanic nerd. No. Okay, I'm still waiting on Titanic nerd story. Mark, September 1st, 1985. You were talking about when Robert Ballard discovered the wreck. And from that day forward, I've been fascinated for my entire life as well. Wolf, Utah is probably one of the most forgotten battleships during World War II. Yeah, I'd agree. Mark, A Night to Remember was my first Titanic movie. Cameron's movie was mine, but as I've said in the past, I was already a Titanic nerd long before Cameron's movie came out. My interest really invigorated when the Titanic Adventure Out of Time game came out in 1996. That was before the Cameron movie came out. Cameron's movie came out in December of 97. I remember this because I was actually working at a movie theater at the time. Oh, here we go. Here we go, Wolf. BB-35. We have not seen her in quite a while. Interesting. BB-35 here. Might have a discussion about her pretty soon. Wink, wink. Wolf, actually, most forgotten U.S. battleships of World War II. I think of the New Mexicos. Not many people talk about them. Most people, I would tend to think, when they think World War II ships, Arizona and Missouri are obviously the first two that are going to come to mind. Steve, I don't think many people realize that Utah is still resting in the harbor. Arizona is not alone. I do know that, Steve. I know a lot of people don't. I do know that, but it is unfortunate that she's kind of an afterthought if you think about it. There is a memorial there. Um, I don't know if the memorial is on the scale of the Arizona one. I saw Titanic in an IMAX theater. Nice. I saw her in a regular theater. So there is a fun little thing about that. I remember the first time I saw the Titanic trailer. We went to a theater in Baton Rouge, and it was the first time I had ever been in a theater that had the stadium seating that you see in every single theater today. Back then, all the theaters had just like these little sloped floors, and if somebody really tall is sitting in front of you, you were doing this, trying to look around their head, and that's how stadium seating came into being. Max, yay, Texas. Steve, yes. Yes, BB-35. I saw, there's a thing, the Texas Museum is selling some teak deck of their own, just like, I always keep my little teak deck piece of the Alabama. If you look to the right of Titanic right there, you can see it up there on the shelf. And the Texas is doing something similar. They're selling teak deck, but of course it's not original teak deck because Texas was built around the same time Titanic was being built. The teak deck they're selling was placed down on the ship in 1990, and even though it's not quite as old, and see that is original teak deck to the Alabama right there. That is original. So even though the teak deck on the Texas is not original, I'm still considering buying it because it is a part of the ship. It is a piece of the ship. It was on the ship for 30 something years. So I am considering buying one. Steve, the shoebox theaters, yes. Long before the days of stadium seating. Wolf, I think one of the reasons that Utah is not talked about much is also because by the time the attack on Pearl Harbor, she was a training ship and actually wasn't a part of the battle squadron. Yeah, I mean, I suppose that could be possible. Of course, with Arizona, The Rear Admiral Isaac C. Kidd was on the bridge of the Arizona during the attack of Pearl Harbor. And if you did not know, which you probably do by this point by watching this channel, there's a certain little destroyer that was named after Admiral Isaac C. Kidd. Can anybody guess what that destroyer's name is? I wonder. Oh, excuse me, guys. Had to yawn. So, speaking of which, I will be heading to Baton Rouge tomorrow. I am going to be making a trip to the museum. They've got some new shirts there that I want to buy one. So I will be doing that and probably make a little donation to the ship at the same time. Well, if Utah was also off to the side and wasn't in Battleship Row. Well, Pennsylvania wasn't either. Pennsylvania was in dry dock, if memory serves, during the attack. Wolf, USS Kidd. Steve, I love how some people think that the USS Kidd is either named after Captain Kidd or Billy the Kid. Okay, so I can get Captain William Kidd, the pirate, because that was William Kidd was actually the mascot of the first crew of DD-61. And that's hence the pirate on the funnel of the ship and the nickname. They were the Pirates of the Pacific. But I've never heard Billy the Kid before. Are you serious? I've never heard that before. Wolf, she was in dry dock. Yes, the Pennsylvania, she was in dry dock. Titanic nerd, we were in a boring mall and me and my sister were wandering around bored. She stretched out my arms and shouted Titanic. The rest is history. Well, okay, well, Titanic nerd, what about it? What grabbed her attention? Are we talking like she saw a poster for the movie? She saw something just about the ship and not about the movie? Like, what was it that that got her attention and made her say Titanic? And the rest is history. Give me some detail there. Steve, I've heard it been told to me. Really? Again, going back to the kid there for a minute, that some people he's heard people think that DD-661 was named after Billy the Kid. I've never heard that before. It's funny. That's interesting. Bride, Titanic. How about this beauty we're looking at right here? Texas. So I'm waiting on oh, Titania says we were just fooling around. Oh, she just kind of blurted it out, and that's how it came to be. Gotcha. Well, if the current USS Kidd flies the pirate flag like her Fletcher predecessor, well, the current Kidd has two predecessors. Remember, the current Kidd is the third ship to be named USS Kidd. Let's see, Steve. Hello, it was at a mall that I was excuse me. It was at a mall that I was first introduced to Titanic when I was 5 years old in a bookstore. I saw the cover of Titanic, End of a Dream. Wow. That reminds me, I got to tell you guys something after I finish reading the comments. Wolf, I wonder if the destroyer that was between the Fletcher and the current USS Kidd flew it. I don't know. I would think so, but don't hold me to that. I'm not 100% certain. Steve, the image of a big ship sinking was just so much for my mind to comprehend, right? Especially, and here's the thing, this is a common misconception as well. Do you any of you have any of you guys ever encountered this out in the real world? People who think to this day that still think that Titanic was the largest ship that was ever built. Have you ever encountered people that think that? Bri, I love Texas. Yes, we all love BB-35 here. Last dreadnought in existence, guys. And I touched the very bottom of the ship, the very original keel. I reached up with my hand and touched that keel. Wolf, I'll look it up. Titanic nerd mall. What's a mall, by the way? Who's heard of a mall? Ozzy, it's 1953. Got me on the top. I've never seen the 1953 movie. I've only ever seen A Night to Remember and the Cameron movie. Steve, some do still think that, but not as widely believed as it was pre-Cameron movie. Now, I recently had someone as recent as either early this year or late last year ask me that is, if Titanic is still the largest ship that was ever built, and of course not. By she's a dinghy by today's standards. Mark, Titanic is tiny now. Yes, of course. Titanic nerd. I just heard the name and I wanted to know everything about it. Wolf, I can't find anything about that kid flying the flag. He's talking about the second USS kid. Okay. Max as well. Yes, I've encountered that before. So, I would imagine you guys, like me, you have to correct people when they say that, and that's not people being conspiracy theorists and all that. Some people just legitimately don't know, and they're asking because they want the correct information. So, of course, I have no problem explaining that. I had to explain to someone a few months ago about Olympic and Britannic, the whole setup of the Olympic class and kind of shipbuilding in general in a very broad sense of the term, by the way. I'm in no means an engineer or an expert on shipbuilding. I just share the knowledge that I have. Wolf, apparently she was the lead ship of her class of destroyers. You're talking about the second kid, aren't you, Wolf? Because, yeah, the obviously DD 661 was a Fletcher class. Steve, take it easy, man. Thanks for joining us, and we will be in touch soon about our plans coming up for the next week. Which actually we're not going to be on too much longer anyway, guys. We probably got about 10 minutes or so left. Wolf, 4 Kidd class destroyers, and they are all still afloat and active in the Taiwan Navy. Yikes. Well, I guess it's better them than some other countries. But yeah, anyway, DD 661, of course, was a Fletcher class. The current USS Kidd is an Arleigh Burke class that was launched in 2005. So, Wolf, not crossing my fingers, but it would be awesome if once Taiwan was done with this good, they give her back to us to preserve as a museum. I don't know how many more museum ships we're going to have in the United States, to be honest, guys. It seems to me like there is a waning interest in preserving ships. Thankfully, we have the ones that we have, and I don't think those are going to go away anytime soon. Of course, we're still waiting to hear the fate of the Big U. And as I bring that up, we look at another famous ocean liner from history. Here we are, the ship Beautiful, the Aquitania, Cunard's first ocean liner to be larger than any of the Olympic class ships. And she's a beauty in her own way. But yeah, I don't know how many more ships we're going to have preserved as museum ships, guys. Mark, Aquitania, of course. We haven't seen the ship Beautiful in a while. I really wish that warships would do more stuff like this. Wouldn't it be great if they had Lucy or the Mauretania or, the Queen Mary, the Imperators, just more little Easter eggs like this in the game? Wouldn't that be amazing? I'd love to see some more, not just Aquitania. Well, beautiful ship. She most certainly was. And then, of course, there's no models of the Aquitania that I'm aware of, and so we've got, like, you can't say Mauritania's a sister ship, more like a cousin or something. Max, it was Aquitania's maiden voyage yesterday, by the way. So happy maiden. So today, what it is, 110 years ago, this ship right here, Aquitania, would be on her maiden voyage. Brian says, I think the Capricorna and SS Liberté ex Europa is in the game as well. Brian, if you do you have this game, and if so, could you possibly go in and find these and maybe get some screenshots or something? Or if anyone has that, because if they are in the game, I will, if I know where they're at, I'll do for those two ships exactly what I did to right here to Aquitania. I'll get sunk, find them on the map, and I'll just go and record some footage of what they look like here in the game, and we can have those to look at as well. We're going to finish off here looking at BB 61, the big stick, USS Iowa. Oh, okay, here's what I was laughing at. Wolf says, warships needs an anti-sub type in the tree, and it's just Olympic for every faction. Wolf, you win the internet for tonight, my friend. That's great. I love it. Brian, I'll send it to you in Discord. Yeah, okay. And I will try and find those in the game and see if I can record some footage of them as well. See, this has got about 12 minutes of footage, but we're not going to be on that long. Probably another 5 minutes or so. I think that's the greatest idea. Now, you guys have seen, of course, by the way, and Wolf, I got to ask you, so you and I are the only two in here that are into model building. Wolf, do you plan on buying the Hobby Boss HMT Olympic model? You don't have to ask me if I'm buying it. You already know the answer. Whether or not I'm going to build it is a whole different ball game, but I'm going to buy it. Wolf, we need to have this happen. Somebody needs to suggest that to warships. You're sailing the Olympic and HMT Olympic, by the way, and you're in warships, you're sailing the Olympic, and there's subs in the game. Ramming speed. That would be the greatest. I would actually if Olympic was if HMT Olympic was DLC for warships, I would actually buy that. Someday I'll get a kid in Alabama when they're, when the prices on those aren't ridiculously insane. Referring to the Hobby Boss model, Wolf says, I don't know, depends on the price and how I'm feeling at the time. Well, both of those things are going to be irrelevant for me because I will buy them. Ozzy said, Wolf wants ramming speed. I want ramming speed. Wolf already has a stockpile of ships to build. Huh, you have a stockpile. I still have USS Texas to build. I'm working on Britannic right now. Did I show you guys the model I picked up a few weeks ago? Let me grab that real quick. I'm gonna show you guys this before we close out for this week because we're about getting to that point. Okay, so this thing is really big, so I don't know how far away I'm gonna have to zoom out. Let me get my chair out the way. So here we go. Let's see. Like that. Now, here we go. I picked this up a few weeks ago at a. If you guys looked on the channel, there's a video for a model building show / contest. I picked up this 1 to 350 USS Arizona for $30, guys. 1 to 350 for $30. That's a sweet deal on this kit. So, yeah, I've got Britannic, I've got Texas, I've got Arizona, and when that Olympic comes out, I'm probably going to buy 2 of those Olympics. And because it would be cool to have her Olympic in her back in her RMS or White Star livery post World War One. Wolf, the Arizona question mark? Yes. Wolf is command of the Defiant. One of the prettiest U.S. dreadnoughts. Absolutely. Max, nice. Wolf, you have to compare this kit with Texas in the future. It's going to be really interesting whenever the day comes that I'm finished with those 2 kits, because I'll have 3 warships in 1 to 350 scale. My model of the kit is at 1 to 350. The Texas is 1 to 350, and that Arizona. So Arizona is going to be the largest of the 3, of course, because that's how it would have been in real life. But it's going to be interesting to see mostly how much larger than the Texas she actually is. Yeah, you have to compare this kit with Texas in the future. Yes, most definitely. Well, guys, we are just past the 1 hour mark, so I think we're going to go ahead and call it here. As you guys know, the content is as follows. Monday through Fridays, our random video short. Oh, look at that parachute coming right there in the water. Our video shorts are Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Central Time. Weekly 1 hour streams are Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time, U.S. time. And the weekly video, full-length video, is every Friday morning at 7 a.m. Wolf, a good stream. See you next week. Yep, likewise, Wolf. Bri has sent you the photos in Discord. I will look at them in a minute, Bri. Mark, awesome stream. Yep, thank you guys as always for coming. And remember, you guys want to pop in next week because unless something happens, Steve is joining me next week right here on the live stream, and I am planning to appear on his channel that same weekend. So thanks again for watching, everyone. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me as always. I really appreciate you guys. And until next week, you guys know the drill. Drive safely.